Should we talk about our movie? Should we talk about the prom nights?
I don't know how to start. This is the weird, like, we can't just, we have to have some kind of a start, right?
Like a
Welcome to the channel.
welcome to the channel.
You gotta
No.
introduce yourself. Yeah, we do. Yes, it's important to introduce ourselves for, like, connection. They have to know who we are. We don't have to, like, talk about ourselves. It's just, I'm Kendall. It's a shocking return. I'm Ethan, he's Kendall. I'm Kendall, he's Ethan. This is the shocking return.
I don't think we need it.
I think it's really funny that the actual title is Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night II. In that order.
Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night II.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good title.
It's the wrong way. Because usually things are it's Prom Night 2, Hello, Mary Lou. That's how it should be.
No, this one is Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night
It's
2.
using Fast and the Furious title logic.
Be careful what you say about Fast and Furious. Yeah, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 is one of, if not the movie that made me want to make this channel. This is like top 3. I love this sequel so much more than the original.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those ones where I don't know, it's such a change of pace. It's a change of everything.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah. And
in every respect.
But it's such a good example of, like, don't assume sequels are going to be bad.
Yeah, and this honestly makes, I don't know the history of it, but if it feels like they just wanted to make this movie and someone was like, "Well, throw Prom Night 2 on there." Like,
so that actually is what happened.
That makes sense because they wanted to make a movie called Hello, Mary Lou.
It's so okay. So this is perfect place to start. Yeah. So the original title of Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 was Haunting of Hamilton High. That's the original title. And that's confusing to me because both Bruce Pittman, the director, and Ron Oliver, the screenwriter, they both say that it was originally called Haunting of Hamilton High, and that the connection to prom night was not planned and it was just one of those things where they tacked it on afterwards. But the confusing part about that is that the high school in Prom Night 1 is, well, specifically Alexander Hamilton Senior High School.
Yeah.
But that's...
Yeah,
like...
I guess Hamilton High has a ring to it.
It does. Haunting of Hamilton High is a much more boring title, though. Like,
yeah.
It makes sense for the movie, of course. We'll get into that. But Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. That's a wonderful title.
How did it turn into a Prom Night sequel then?
So the company that picked up the film was the production company for Prom Night. So they actually already owned Prom Night. They owned the rights to it. And because a prom happens in the movie, they were like, just tack on, just make it a sequel. So yeah, let's start by mentioning what Prom Night is. Let's talk about that. Prom Night from 1980 is it's a slasher. I mean, it's
more straightforward.
It's a very straightforward slasher movie. Jamie Lee Curtis, Leslie Nielsen.
No supernatural elements.
Nope.
Just kind of a someone's killing people and they don't really know why. There's a few red herrings.
And Prom Night is in the pantheon of movies that wanted to capitalize on the holiday title. So any special day of the year. You have April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
You have Black Christmas. You have even stuff like, Prom Night isn't...
My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine. Yeah, there's a ton of these. There's New Year's Eve, Mother's Day. Yeah. There's every day of the year that's special has some horror movie.
That's true.
And Prom Night, it's not necessarily a holiday, but it's a special day of the year, noteworthy day of the year. And it's just another one of these. And
but it's funny though, because it came after Carrie, the Prom Night movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it reminded me of Carrie in the sense that it felt like a drama for a good chunk of the movie, and then it switched gears.
Yeah, Prom Night takes a while to get to the stabbing.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long while to get there. I don't want to say anything bad about Prom Night, but it's not my favorite. I'll just say that. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. It reminded me, vibes-wise, of Halloween. It very straightforward. There's a killer. They're killing. We don't know why. We don't know who. Well, I guess in Halloween you do know who, but you don't know why. It's fine. But yeah, and it's funny because Prom Night reminds me of Halloween, and Prom Night 2 reminds me of Nightmare on Elm Street. So a totally different direction there. And I much more prefer Elm Street than I do Halloween. I'm not a Halloween head. So this one was definitely, the sequel, this was way more my speed.
Yeah, so after Prom Night, they make this sequel, the Prom Night 2. They add, it's just supernatural now.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
Pretty quick, yeah.
We're in supernatural territory.
Well, I love the opening of the sequel. Her walking into the church very melodramatically and confessing her sins. And then just being like, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah. That shot of the For a Good Time call.
Yeah.
Ron Oliver said in some behind the scenes footage that was his real phone number. He decided to use his real actual phone number just to see what would happen. And in his recollection, he said no one never got a call from it. And it's like, that's a risky move. I feel like, and it's not a 555. You can see that it looks like a working phone number.
I don't know, when did 555 become the standard? It wasn't always like that. I wonder when they started that.
But yeah, that intro.
I love that intro. And then it's where it immediately establishes that we're in the 50s.
Yep.
Which was surprising. That's not what I expected.
Sort of like Night of the Creeps. That like super... Prom Night 2 and Night of the Creeps have a 1950s the way we now have a 1980s.
Yeah.
Like how Stranger Things' version of what the 80s looked like.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing in Prom Night. They're like ratcheting up the 50s stuff like as loud as it'll go. Yeah. And that's important later because that informs Mary Lou, our main antagonist.
Yeah.
She speaks with 50s slang. She references
alligator.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole intro is nuts. And they said so the big moment in the beginning of the movie is her getting crowned prom queen, which is that's her goal. She wants to be prom queen. And it doesn't go as planned.
Yeah. I was impressed with how quickly they built her character. It's like they could have just had a ghost
Yeah.
some ghosts, but no, we know Mary Lou's whole bit.
Yeah, no
like
mystery.
her whole, like with the confessional, and then we got her cheating on her boyfriend and not really caring that it hurt him, and
Yep.
she's you know, she's the town floozy, and she's hypersexualized, and she's Little Miss Popular and all this stuff. We get so much of her from that, just from however short that is. It's a pretty short span of time.
That's the other thing. That's something about Prom Night 2 that I love, is it is right out the gate going. This movie is not slow. It does not take its time. It is, let's get to the kills. Let's get to the set pieces. Let's get to the cool effects.
Mm-hmm. And the casting too. Something I really liked. I really liked the casting in this movie. Mary Lou is like the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen in my life. And
Lisa Schrage? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know, I've never seen her before,
Yeah.
but it's like you can't take your eyes off her.
Yep.
That's the character she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then when we jump to the 80s, we get introduced to our like real protagonist, Vicky, who is like the physical opposite of Mary Lou. Also pretty, but just like
she's blonde instead of brunette.
Yeah, she's very blonde, fair.
Yeah, very reserved.
Like, yeah.
She's got an overbearing mom.
Mm-hmm.
Religious mom.
She's religious. She's shy. She doesn't take sugar because that stuff will kill you. You know, so she's immediately established as like the complete opposite of Mary Lou. And she physically looked it too. Just a very different character. And I thought that was fun.
That stuff will kill you.
Really? I think one thing to note here is the reliance on and importance of tropes in this movie. I think a lot of movies, I think the word trope is often seen as a negative. You want to be unique. You want to not be seen as stealing from other movies or whatever. But this movie is very unashamedly stealing. I wouldn't necessarily call it stealing, because if you steal from enough things, what you end up with is something very unique. And I would call this movie very unique.
I'd say it's inspired by a lot of things. You can see a lot of horror inspiration from
absolutely.
a lot of different movies.
Yeah. And you look at the reviews, and people are citing Carrie, people are citing The Exorcist, people are citing Nightmare on Elm Street. You mentioned Halloween. There's a bunch of different influences here, but it creates this soup that's like its own thing, and
it feels different.
The characters, I think there's something like 9 characters named after famous horror directors, and that to me is the wink to the audience that it's like, we know what we're doing here.
Yeah,
like, we're not pretending like all of this is new. Oh, we got to talk about Michael Ironside is in this. He's the big name in this.
Yeah.
Michael Ironside I know him from a couple Paul Verhoeven movies and obviously Scanners. He's also in Spacehunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
I like her.
He's a great villain. He looks like a villain. If he were your principal, you would be afraid of him.
I don't know him, and I don't care about him.
He harbors a dark secret, and he looks like it.
He's just one of those guys, one of those guys. I'm just like, do I know him from somewhere?
But he's always good. He always brings it.
I'll take your word for it.
I like him. I'm always excited to see him.
Yeah. Something I really appreciated in this was the costumes and the characterization. A lot of the times when we have a bunch of teenagers, which is common in a horror movie, they're all sort of the same thing, more like they visibly look the same, like they're from the same clique, and they're all wearing. Sure. I mean, you think Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween, all of just like They're just the same. They're just wearing bland clothes. They're just bland teenagers. But in this movie, they're all so distinct. Like her best friend, who's all like alt grunge look, is her style is like extreme. It's not like they just gave her a leather jacket and were like, that's the bad girl, or like that, or anything like that. They didn't fall into those.
A lot of thought put into
it. It was like, that was a real person and she's having real problems. And it's like, she is not the character you would pick, like trope wise, to have the issues, because she's the one that is upset because her boyfriend's ghosted her and she's pregnant. And I remember I was surprised by that, because that's not the character you would usually see that line from in these kinds of movies. It's the hottie, the popular girl. Yeah. And so I like that they did that. And they did that with all the people, the nerd guy, the AV computer guy.
Yeah.
He has a very distinct sense of style.
He doesn't look nerdy.
Yeah, and it's like, we call him the nerd, but he's not like that nerd stereotype where he's got like the 80s pocket protector and like, he's cool, but he's like his own thing. And then, Vicky has her own style, very pastels. She has the most like bland style, really. But I just like that they separated the characters that way, even characters that aren't don't have huge roles, really.
Yeah.
I love that.
It feels, I mean, as much as a movie can, an 80s movie can, it feels like a high school.
Yeah.
It feels like there's actually personalities here.
Yeah, and the result of that is that I care when they die.
Yeah.
A lot of slasher movies, it's like, okay, well, she's dead now. I like the mechanism of the haunting / possession in this. I don't like the introduction of it.
Yeah, don't touch her crown.
Well, her crown, and like she like lives in this suitcase in the theater department storage room.
Yeah. All her old gear is in there.
Yeah, all the costumes. And I love, for the same reason I love the costumes, I love the set design. And like the little theater basement storage was such a vibe, with like the masks and the, things are thrown everywhere. It's also ornate and cool. And like there's this like massive trunk. And Mary Lou lives in that for some reason. I guess because her sash and her crown are in there.
I think it's just that her spirit's tied to her prom queen attire.
Yeah, and then Vicky opens it and takes out the crown and the sash, which kind of frees her.
It frees her spirit, and it's still a while before she takes full control. She's just sort of messing with Vicky for the first part of the movie. She's hallucinating. It's sort of dreamlike. We have several shots that are, again, reminiscent of Nightmare on Elm Street, but also reminiscent of some of the European directors like Argento and Bava.
Her unicorn, her full-sized unicorn rocking horse in her bedroom, because that exists, making the tongue and the eyes look so realistic and it's
nasty.
It's gross looking, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's like I like that moment, because it's like, what a better way to like visualize the loss of innocence than a childhood toy turned.
Well, yeah, and then doubled down by the sheet hands thing. That's that's such a cool practical effect where they just the sheets just like shrink wrap to her, and you feel these hands like groping her. Ugh. It's like, that's such a Mary Lou is like teasing her, like making fun of her innocence, and like in a fun way,
making her go crazy. Mm-hmm. But we get the full effect. She finally fully haunts her, fully possesses her, sends her to quote the film, Linda Blairsville, with the chalkboard sequence. That's when she's fully, Mary Lou's got her.
Yeah.
She traps her, and that sequence is awesome. You know, you got the rotated room thing with the water, and the best part is when it all goes back to normal, you have the swirled letters still there on the
they like
chalkboard.
froze there.
It looks so cool.
I thought it was interesting how in that scene, Mary Lou, Vicky has had it. You know, she's really upset. She has her head in her hands. She's distraught. She's not sleeping well. She's seeing things. She doesn't know what's real and what's not real. And then on the chalkboard backwards, Mary Lou writes, "Help me."
Yeah.
Which is interesting because she's never showed any kind of like need for sympathy of any kind. And then this like
taunt.
It is a taunt. And that was like, it's such a good, because that is the only thing that brought Vicky to the chalkboard. It's like, oh, does she, it's like, I am at my wit's end, but does she need help?
Yeah, maybe that.
Can I help?
Yeah, like a normal ghost movie, it's usually there's some solvable thing you can like have the spirit rest.
And I also like how the nerd guy clocks the possession thing so fast.
Yeah,
he's like, she's possessed. She's probably possessed, and he says it multiple times.
Yeah, he's the Jamie Kennedy character from Scream. He's the guy who knows what's going on, and it's fun. It's a fun detail. Yeah,
because when she once Mary Lou is fully embodied after the chalkboard scene, she climbs out of the trunk and and like she's now fully inhabiting Vicky's body, and that's when Vicky, her style changes. She starts wearing 50s clothes and stuff, and that's when they said this. She's like, "Have you seen what Vicky's wearing today?" And he's like, "Oh, she's possessed." You can see as soon as she becomes Mary Lou, or once it's Mary Lou fully 100%. I liked that scene when Vicky's boyfriend comes over, and then they're walking away, and her best friend's like, well, "What, are you gonna wait for me?" or something like that. And then Vicky Mary Lou turns around, she's like, "Scram, he's mine." And it's just because Mary Lou's so possessive of boys, you know, and she's one of those like, I don't get along with girls. I just get along with boys. I don't know why. I liked that tension that turned into the locker room scene, which might be one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, the locker room scene is awesome. Apparently it wasn't in the script for her to just be
100% naked.
Completely naked. It was an idea on set at the in the moment, but it makes sense for her character because Mary Lou is very confident.
And she hasn't had a body in so long. Yeah, she even makes a comment of like, she has a good body, but not as good as mine. Like, so she does not care.
Yeah.
But yeah, that weird like, they kiss,
toying with her.
Yeah, she's messing with her, and it really upsets her. And then there's this like naked chase through the locker room. Reminded me of The Faculty. That scene is in The Faculty. Basically, which is fun.
It's been a long time since I saw The Faculty, but yeah.
Yeah. And that kill is probably my favorite. When the best friend hides in a locker, one of those standing lockers, and Vicky Mary Lou, I guess, can sense that she's in there, and she kind of stops, and she turns towards the locker and goes, "A wop bop a doo bop, a wop bam."
Right at the last one, and then get the crunch.
Yeah, and then the like ooze, that like automatically just turned her to goo.
Yep.
As it would.
Yeah, of course. It's an awesome kill.
I love that.
That's probably my favorite kill in this too. I really like the computer death. I like the nerd guy getting fried by his computer. Oh. That was a fun one. It's nuts. It's nuts. That whole end sequence. It's almost hard to pick apart each effect because they're so rapid fire. It's the whole end of the movie. It's like bam, 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 bam. Like crazy stuff is happening. Really cool effects over and over and over. And they come and go so fast that you'd almost forget them. But that computer death is like, I love it. It's very silly.
Yeah. And I guess I liked The first death of that alt goth friend of hers, I liked the fake out in that death.
Yeah.
This like, or she's being like a sash is wrapped around her neck and it's choking her, but it's dragging her into one of those paper cutters.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is going to be gnarly.
And then nope.
And then no, it like rips her up and hangs her and then throws her out the window. It's like, so we get like multiple things. It was funny, like funny fake out. I don't know.
That sequence is it reminded me of Suspiria. It's the opening of Suspiria.
Oh, yeah.
It's very similar. That girl gets really killed.
It does a good job of establishing Mary Lou's thing. You know, we don't know yet what kind of a villain she's gonna be.
She's gratuitous in every way.
Gratuitous in every way. It's like not necessary, girl. It's like you calm down. Yeah. So that's fun.
Well, and that girl's big sin was she plucked one of the fake jewels off her tiara.
Oh yeah, it was like she was a little pissed.
Yeah.
She was like, she
really offended her.
My crown.
Yeah.
And I like she fixes it afterwards.
Yep, it goes. Yeah.
You want to talk about the end sequence?
Real quick, I was going to mention, we were talking about the side characters. Her boyfriend, Craig?
I think so.
He shows up in Saw 4. He's got a role in Saw 4.
Wow.
He's the guy with his mouth sewn shut.
Wow. Good for him.
It's interesting when actors stay in the genre, I think. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun when you have like a horror person, you know?
I feel like there's a lot of people like that. Those bit actors who never get like a main role of any kind, but
character actors.
Yeah, but they're always they stick in their genre. I can see how like horror movies specifically, if you're that type of person, it would appeal to you to keep doing them because it's just they're more fun. Like you get to be covered in
so fun,
in goo and all the like gnarly stuff. Like if that appeals to you, then like why ever move on from that?
There's I'll call it a rumor because I'm not going to look up how real this is. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But the rumor of like The Rock having a clause in his contract that he can't lose a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer the trope of, or the consistency of Sean Bean dying and everything. Yeah. I think that's way funnier.
That's way more iconic.
Yeah, it's such a better deal to be the guy who dies.
Yeah, than the guy who never loses.
Yeah.
No one wants to root for the guy who never loses.
It's boring.
Ew.
Yeah.
We all root for the underdog.
If I had a contract and I had a special clause in it, I would want it to be that I have to die in whatever it is, but I have to die in a way where you don't see my body so I could always come back. That's why I love that.
Specific.
Yeah.
There's always a chance.
Let's talk about the end sequence. I love it. First of all, I love that we have our zombified, charbroiled Mary Lou climbing her way out of Vicky's gunshot wound. That is such a cool entrance into the prom. Like, that is just... there's a shot, speaking of the Italians again, in Demons, there's a similar shot of a demon climbing out of a character's back, and it's just this... It's so gross. It's so creepy and so cool. And that makeup is so cool.
Yeah.
She's nasty looking.
Yeah, we get a couple of, like, very 80s but not okay today moments in there.
Yeah.
The dad... That... I was just sitting there like... Because the Vicky Mary Lou kisses Vicky's dad.
Yeah.
On her way to on her way out of the house
which
to the prom.
Which is in character.
Which is in character for Mary Lou. It makes sense, but what kills me is that the dad isn't like, no. He's like, he stays with it. And I'm just like, I need you to take a step back.
Yeah.
So grody. And then the mom sees it, and that's the mom's, like, comeuppance, I guess. But it's really gross. It's gross.
That and the
blowjob.
Kelly trying to win prom queen.
Yeah, the other
Kelly,
prom queen hopeful tried to pay off the nerd to rig the computer to make her win, but he wouldn't take it. And apparently, last minute, apparently his price that he'd given her was a blowjob from her.
Yeah.
And at the last minute, during prom, she steps away to see, and she realizes she's gonna lose, so she gives him a blowjob, and that's why it's good that he dies.
He's no longer innocent.
Yeah, well, and that's gross.
It is gross.
And
fuck you, computer nerd guy.
Yeah. Which was better because I liked him as a character. You know, he's the she's possessed guy.
Yeah.
So this weird turn with that character, I was kind of bummed about.
I could do without it.
I was like, what do you mean? It's like,
but like you said, that's
so
it's,
the 80s,
it's not an excuse, but it is like you gotta sort of expect some stuff. Like that.
There's always going to be a couple things where you're just like.
That's a cameo from the writer Ron Oliver. He's actually the guy who delivers the line.
Hey Kelly, how'd you blow it?
After she loses, yeah.
Wow.
He was proud of that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what we haven't talked about? The freaking pastor guy. The father in the church. I love these crazy like gothic interjection, like the very, very long shots of the church with like organ music playing, very exorcist-y.
Yeah.
And it's because the pastor was the pastor her ex-boyfriend?
No,
he was the one that she was
cheating.
She was cheating with. And then the principal is her old ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, Billy.
Yeah, and they both seem to know what's going on. Or suspect.
They have been living with the guilt.
Yeah.
So it's a little muddy. Billy is living with the guilt of burning his prom date alive.
Yeah.
Understandable.
It was an accident, though. I think.
Yeah, it's clearly an accident.
A stink bomb.
Yeah,
and he just wanted to ruin her moment after he saw her cheating on him with the other guy, but her dress caught fire.
That guy, though, is living with guilt and misery, and I think it might be that he feels he could have done more to save her and didn't, because there is a moment where he like goes to her and draws back.
I feel like a few people could have done more to save her. It was one of those moments where it's like, are we making a choice not to save her right now? Because they're all wearing suit jackets and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, let someone throw a suit jacket on her.
Yeah, we
She's
know how
on
fire works. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems it. Yeah, that was a weird. And he definitely could have done more to save her. So I guess that moment of cowardice probably haunted him and probably contributed to why he became a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
In contrition and But yeah, so they have this weird relationship where they're aware of each other and like they share a very similar guilt. And when they start hearing of these happenings, and then Vicky even talks to the priest about hallucinations and stuff, and he's like, sounds like Mary Lou.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by how quickly they come to the conclusion that it's haunted. I guess it is Catholic.
There's not many just annoyingly dumb characters in this.
Yeah, they're like, no way.
They refuse to believe the children, refuse to believe the teens, like that kind of stuff. It's usually all that's there for is to drag out the story a little longer anyway, because most of these stories would be shut down immediately if the parents were on top of things.
Yeah, so I like it. I always appreciate that in horror movies when the people are immediately just like, yeah, this is a problem. Yeah. This is a supernatural problem and we need to figure it out.
Something weird's going on.
And like multiple characters in this movie are like, yep, she's back.
Yeah.
She's back. She's possessed. But yeah, so that's why in the end, it's the principal, who is Vicky's boyfriend's dad, also, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Shoots Vicky Mary Lou
Yeah.
on stage when she's being crowned prom queen. And then that's when Mary Lou emerges from Vicky's body as a husk. And then she like, it's a pretty long sequence of this like as she's sort of
she's
embodying.
It's amidst the chaos. So
people are freaking out.
Principal firing a gun in the middle of prom is going to cause a commotion, but then the commotion continues because she's carrying the prom by exploding all the dozens and dozens and dozens of neon lights that seem to be the only decorations for this prom. Just the theme is neon.
Yeah, 80s.
Those are exploding.
But yeah, so Mary Lou is now a fully embodied person.
At post exiting Vicky's corpse.
Right. And she...
Not corpse. I mean, she survives.
Her husk.
She comes out of that later. We find out she's okay because she comes out of the trunk all covered in ectoplasm. Some sort of supernatural ooze.
Yeah, because Mary Lou follows the boyfriend into the theater department's storage room where her little luggage is.
Yeah.
And she gets shot, right? How does it end?
That moment, though, this end sequence in that room has the shot. We use it in our intro, but of Mary Lou whipping around with the super bright light behind her. It's like what you were talking about. She's such a gorgeous actress.
Yes,
and it's like
those it's like her shots, eyes. It's just like it's like so unnerving. It's
yeah. It's an awesome shot.
But it doesn't matter what her demise is anyway, because it's not a demise. She's not like dead. Vicky comes out of the suitcase covered in goo, and I love that he tests her, like figuring out if it's her, if it's Mary Lou, by asking if she takes sugar in her coffee. Yeah. And she says the exact line she said an hour and a half ago.
No, that stuff will kill you.
It's so cheesy.
It's a good way to tell.
Yeah, it works. It does the trick. But yeah, and then it pulls a Nightmare on Elm Street in the end, where they get in a car, Vicky and Craig, and with Dad driving, and
not
then
just a
turns
Nightmare
out,
on Elm Street. I mean, that's a
but Nightmare on Elm Street specifically is also they get in a car and realize. Yeah, she goes to school. It's the very end of the movie, and she's gonna go to school, and all of her friends are in the car, and they're waving at her, and she jumps in the car.
That's right.
And then the hood comes up, and it's striped, and she's just like, no.
No, I remember.
So yeah, same like drive away into the distance with like screaming. It works. It's a good like.
That's when you get to see. That's when you get to see Michael Ironside's evil face. Michael Ironside is a person who looks evil normally, and then when he gets the Kubrick stare.
Or is that you smart? You gotta look through your eyebrows.
Like sort of. I don't know how to do it. It's really, despite we talked about a couple of moments, but otherwise it's pretty good script. The dialogue is good. It's better than it has any right to be for this type of movie.
Yeah, the characters are insanely well developed for this kind of movie. Even the side characters. Yeah, no, it's very well written, and I am honestly very surprised that no one talks about this. Like, it's just...
It has had a sort of late resurgence online. It seems like there's the people who want to find movies like that are finding it, luckily. And hopefully, you know, us talking about it, hopefully if you're watching this and you've never seen Prom Night 2,
yeah, it's definitely
see
worth
it.
it. I mean, it's like,
it's great.
it is not so bad it's good. It's
No,
like, it's actually
no.
good.
It's an actually good movie.
Like,
yeah.
it's well written, it's well done.
The worst you can call it is rough around the edges. It's
Yeah.
definitely low budget.
Mhm.
It's
but clever.
yeah.
That's why it's
they
like,
use their
like,
budget well.
They were very clever with their effects.
She was beautiful, wasn't she?
But yeah, that's Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
Yeah. And I like it. It was full of so much stuff. There's some Prom Night was like this, and so is Halloween. They're very connected in my head. They feel like the same movie to me. Because they have no vibe. I
disagree.
I
disavow.
I know that's gonna be a hot
This
take.
is not my
but
opinion.
It's bland and beige, and there's nothing there. There's no sets. There's no costumes. There's no character development. No one's interesting. Nothing's nice to look at. There's nothing to sink your teeth into, except in Halloween's case for a mildly interesting large villain. But something like Nightmare on Elm Street or Prom Night 2, you have like so much, like visually, auditorily, storyline wise. You've got good characters. You've got everything. You got everything you need. Yeah. And so it feels, I don't know how to like put it, but in my memory, when I recall movies, those movies feel full. They feel alive and colorful in my memory. And I don't have a great memory for remembering what happens in a movie that I've seen once. You know, I can't recall exactly what happens in the movie. So what I'm left with down the line is a sense. You know,
just
and
like the imprint of the movie.
Yes,
yeah.
And that sense for these movies that have a lot going on that way feel colorful and alive. And movies like that are much simpler, like Halloween and the first Prom Night, they feel like a blank wall in my memory.
Well, I see what you mean. I agree with what you're saying about things like Nightmare and Prom Night 2 being more fun. I mean, it's just they're just going for a different tone.
It's a completely different
I refuse to say a bad word about Halloween.
Yeah.
I will not. But I also acknowledge that Halloween 3 is my favorite. So you might be right. I mean,
I like when Halloween got some kind of a psychic child.
Psychic? I don't think she's psychic.
Isn't she? I don't remember. I saw
his spirit gets transported to a little girl.
A few different ones. I don't know which ones. I feel like Halloween 5. I remember when I was a teenager, I had seen Halloween 5 and I was like, I like this one. And it has a little girl.
Michael Myers.
It has a little girl in it.
So,
and I thought, isn't she like psychic? There's something supernatural happening with her.
So at the end of 4, Michael's spirit is inside of that little girl. And that's how it ends. It's such a bold ending for a Halloween movie. I love that ending. Because it's almost like a dare, right? Yeah. It's almost like, all right, whoever's directing Halloween 5, I know we're going to keep making these. Whoever's directing that, here you go. Now Michael Myers is a little girl. See what you do with that. And what they do with that is, just kidding. And the movie starts and she's just traumatized from that past experience. And she's now
I love a traumatized
one of the main
girl.
Characters. Yeah. Of course.
Had me at hello with that one.
Yeah. 5 is the one with Paul Rudd, I think. Right?
You don't really believe that Michael Myers is actually alive.
Michael's work isn't done in Haddonfield. And soon, very soon, he'll come home to kill again.
I remember that it was very heavy on that little girl and the detective man that's always following Michael Myers around.
Donald Pleasance?
Yeah.
The detective man? He's a psych.
He's always following him around.
He's a psychiatrist.
Where's Michael? Y'all are underestimating him.
He's right.
He's dangerous.
He's right. He knows he's evil.
Yeah.
He's one of cinema's worst psychiatrists, but he's a fantastic shape hunter, if you will.
Yeah, that's why she's following around. Always like 3 days behind him
I love Donald
in the
Pleasance.
aftermath. Well, like I said, that's why I liked the fifth one. It's just that guy and that little girl being really weird.
I'm pretty sure
Evil!
5... I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 5 is the one where Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets stabbed with an ice skate.
Interesting.
Oh, right. Good.
If my life depended on... If I saw all Halloween movies... And then you sat me down and I had to like match which kill happened in which movie. Not if my life depended on it. They're not memorable to me. I don't remember any.
Do you remember when Busta Rhymes drop kicks Michael Myers out of a window?
No.
Fucker.
Anyway, Prom Night II.
I liked it.
Watch it. It's on Shudder. As of us filming, anyway, this is on Shudder.
Peacock. YouTube.
Yeah, there's probably, who knows when you're watching this, there's
It's readily
probably
available.
500 more streaming services, or they've all been condensed into Disney.
Yeah.
Now Disney owns everything. I don't know.
And you don't even need to see the first one.
You think we got it?
Like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, we gotta say, fuck.
So we're a brand new channel. So be sure you like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Follow us on social media.
Yeah.
On Sochmeds. We're on the Sochmeds.
Jesus, don't say that.
We're